set up to a state where they can be exported successfully and used in UDK. So we've got some preset stuff set up. We'll go to our library, and our library is where all of your basically images are going to be kept. Now if you have no images whatsoever and you're starting from a blank slate, you can import images. They all have to be pings. Everything that you're going to be using for UDK will have to be a ping. So you would go to import. You can either import to stage, which will place the image in the stage here and also in the library, or if you don't want to clutter up your stage, if these are all going to be images that you're going to be using later, you can just import straight to library. You won't have a copy put on the stage, and it'll just go straight to your library, so you don't have to worry about moving or deleting it later. Real simple. You click whichever one you prefer. We just went right to the library, and then you would navigate to a pre-built ping, whether it was something you created in Photoshop. You just go ahead and navigate to it and open it. You would click open, and then it would end up being here in your library if you chose just to import to the library. So pretty simple process, just of basically importing ping images that you're going to be using that were built in another program. So we've got some images here. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be just kind of centering around the health bar, and we've got our health bar here. One of the first things you're going to want to do, Flash has a couple of symbols, essentially, either movie clips, graphics, or buttons. UDK needs to read movie clips, so this little gear here is a symbol for a movie clip. If it was a button, it would look kind of like a little button. If it was a symbol, it would have like a triangle and circle and stuff, symbolizing a graphic. So everything that you import is eventually going to have to be turned into a movie clip, but that's a little beyond the scope of this particular tutorial, but that will be addressed later on in a different one in actually creating images. So our health bar is the one that we've theoretically imported. The pings themselves we have to adjust properties for, because the pings will be ported along with our Flash and SWF file. So these have to be set up properly in order for UDK to be able to read them, all the source files. So we will right-click on the health bar, and you would have to do this for any pings that you import. So if there was another one here, we'd have to do that for that one. This one, we'd also have to go down and do the properties, and do that for all pings that we've brought in. So for the purpose of this, we'll go to the health bar, we'll go to properties. Now this one we've already set up. You'll see the name will pop up, health bar ping. You'll want to make sure that the allow smoothing is checked. If it's not, it's possible that it may become very pixelated once it gets into UDK, so you want to make sure that allow smoothing is on. You'll also want lossless. Typically the JPEG is the default that pops up, so make sure you choose the ping GIF lossless. You also may see that this is what your window looks like when you first right-click and go to Properties. To access the other options that we need to address, make sure you click on Advanced to get this additional drop-down. Linkage, we'll want to go ahead and we want to export for ActionScript. You can go ahead and click Export in Frame 1. The identifier will be brought up already. It'll say healthbar.ping. It'll be the same as the actual name. You need to get rid of that .ping. The identifier needs to just be the actual name of the file itself without any extensions. So make sure that that .ping, that you delete that, so it's just the actual name of the file. Sharing will go down, and we want to export for runtime sharing. Now, here, the URL is actually what you're going to be this whole file. When we export this file, the file itself is called HUD main.fla is the actual Flash file. When we export it as a movie, it'll be HUD main.swf. And that's what you want to put here in the URL, is the name of the Flash project that you're working in with the SWF extension. Once all this is set up, your bitmap properties for this particular bitmap, or ping actually, is all set up, and our health bar is going to be ready to go. Now properties, we also need to make a couple properties in our actual Flash document itself, right here. Now you'll notice that depending on what you have clicked on is what will show up in your properties. So you have to make sure that you actually have the right thing clicked on. For example, here we've got the flag blue set up. You can see it's a movie clip, so it's going to show properties for that. If you actually have a frame, it'll show properties for the frame. If you want to get to just the document itself, this area here is considered the stage where all the quote-unquote actors are placed. So if you click outside of that, that will get you back to your document HUD. So click anywhere outside of the stage in the stage area down here, and that should get you to your properties for your actual document. And here you can see that we have the HUD main.fla, which is the actual Flash file itself for the project. Here's where we're going to need to change a couple things in order for this to export properly. Under the publish area right here, we're going to go to edit. And the first thing we'll do is we'll just bounce over to formats. If you see the HTML checked, uncheck that. It's not necessary. It's just going to be an extra file, so go ahead and uncheck that. We're only concerned with the Flash SWF file. So make sure that that is the only thing checked under formats. Under Flash, ActionScript 2.0, that's exactly how we want that, since UDK currently only reads the ActionScript 2.0. The player we will have to change. Again, currently as of right now, UDK works with Flash Player 8. So we'll need to make sure that that gets changed to an earlier version of the Flash Player. So we have our Flash Player 8, we've got our ActionScript 2.0, and we are good to go there. Now, that is essentially, besides making everything, that's all you really have to do for this, for each project and for each ping that you import. Depending on how complex your HUD or menus are, you either have a lot to go through or you'll have just a couple things. So I guess as you go through, the best thing is just to go ahead and get the properties thing taken care of right away. Make sure you get your your HUD squared away, or your document squared away. If you don't have a name here, if it's still untitled, untitled 1.fla, make sure you save that first. And what we're going to do is we're going to save, and we're going to save where Unreal is expecting them. So you can see here, and I'll show you the actual file structure along with the UDK here, but again, we'll go to our hard drive, UDK, our version, our latest version is the January. We want to go to UDK game. This is where Unreal is going to start looking for everything for the specific game itself. We want to go into Flash, and if you're familiar with UDK, how they have packages and groups. Anything under Flash is going to start your package, and then group, and then your actual files. So in this case, HUD practice would be your package. UI scenes, again, this is all pre-built. If you did not have this already, you could already go in, we go click on Flash, and we could right click, do a new folder, name it such and such, go into that. We've got UI scenes. We would, if we didn't have that, we could go new folder, name it however we'd want, go into UI scenes, and you can see we already saved a copy of the main Flash here. So if we didn't have that in there already, we go ahead and click save. It would be placed in its appropriate directory. In this case, we're just going to go ahead and click cancel, but if this was your actual project, you would save it. Now our Flash file saved where it needs to be. Now we'll also need to get our SWF file into there. So in this case, you need to go to File, Export, and we want to export movie. Movie will get you that SWF extension. You can also, I mean, you have the option for this, but in order for Unreal to read it, we need it to be the SWF, so just go with the default SWF. Again, the name will remain the same, .swf, and we would save that again here in the same file structure, the HUD practice, UI scenes, in that hierarchy there. So we'd save that here. You would go ahead and click Save, Cancel. Now, we're going to go ahead and minimize Flash. The other thing that is going to be necessary is in the HUD main. Now you'll notice that this other file in here shares the same name as our Flash file and our SWF file. Any pings that you are using for these files, so for example the health bar and all of the other associated pings, will need to be going here and stored separately. Right now we don't have anything in there, but like for example our health bar ping would be located here. Kind of like if you're setting up a website, it all references a specific folder structure, and that's where all your pings would stay, and then in this sibling folder. Now if you want to compare this to what we're going to see in UDK, we've got UDK up and running already, and what we're going to do is import these two things. Actually it'll be just the SWF, but we're going to go ahead and import it into UDK. So if you have UDK already up and running, you want to go to your content browser here, and the way we've set it up, it'll be real easy. It'll already have its file structure set up. We'll go to Import, and you can see here it brought us back. This is where we've recently been. Last time we used UDK. It'll bring up your most recent location. In this instance, we're going to want to go to the latest version, UDK game, Flash, our HUD practice, our UI scenes within that folder, and then here you'll find the folder or the file that we just saved, which is the main SWF. We'll go ahead and click that. We will open it, and we just like to make sure that the Flash texture scale is high for the highest quality. Depending on your particular project, you may want to adjust that, but we just stay with the default there. And you can already see how UDK has taken that file structure that we had and used that to start building their packages. So you've got the package, which is our HUD practice folder. The group is our UI scenes folder found inside the HUD practice, and then the actual name of our SWF file right here, HUD main. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And UDK will import that. Now, the reason it brings all of this up, these are all pings that are not where they're supposed to be. So in that HUD main folder is where you would need to find, that's where you would need to put all those pings. Any ping that is located inside the movie, the HUD underscore main.swf. So that's why it is very important to have all of these pings located where they're supposed to be. So it's looking in that folder. The folder didn't have anything in it. Right now it's just pulling from the SWF file, but in order to have the highest quality and not have everything be pixelated, you need to have those specific pings where they belong in that HUD main folder inside. So for future reference, when you start building your own things, make sure you put your pings in that folder. This is where they all should be. And since they're not there, we're getting that warning right now. So you can see here we've got our HUD practice down here, our UI scenes, which turns into our actual UI scenes group within the package in UDK, and then of course the HUD main SWF file. Here's our health bar, and all these pings, if they were each individual pings, you would find them located in the HUD main. That we would have to actually put in there ourselves, and then UDK would look for them there. So that's basically getting your content into UDK. It's a relatively simple process, importing, and again the biggest thing is saving your files in the appropriate area. Again, Just go through it one more time here. UDK, whichever version you're using. We're using the January one. UDK game, Flash, and whichever, right here is where again your package would start. So in our case, we've got our HUD practice, we have our UI scenes, and then our FLA file, our SWF file, and any associated pings would go in a folder of the same name as our FLA and SWF file. So we would place all our pings here that we created inside the HUD name. And that kind of wraps it up for the Flash portion. Next step would be actually getting everything using Kismet and some Unreal script, which Jamie Giannini and Drew Wisniewski addressed later on in one of their tutorials, is taking those assets and getting them set up in Unreal. Thanks again, and hope you enjoyed the tutorial.